So back in July of last year, I joined a short film crew as their DP, like 3 weeks before they started filming. The project was the 48-Hour Film Festival in Little Rock, Arkansas, where the challenge is to write, shoot, edit, and deliver an entire short film in just one weekend, or 48 hours. Not only was it my first time doing a 48-hour film festival, it was also my first time DPing a short film, or really DPing anything outside of commercial work, which has been kind of the main thing I've been doing for the past few years. It was incredibly fun and rewarding, and I learned a lot and made some, good friends along the way as well. One of the coolest parts was that we actually won 3 awards at the festival: Best Female Actress, Best Editing, and Best Cinematography. All humility aside, I was really proud of myself for putting in the work and helping the team win the Best Cinematography award, and of course was really proud of our whole team who put in a lot of great work. So Zac and Walker Walthall, 2 brothers. Zac was the editor on this project, Walker was the director. Have both started their own production company and YouTube channel called Highway 7, and I got to sit down with the both of them to talk about how we made an award-winning short film in only 48 hours. They actually released the whole short film on their YouTube channel last week, so I'd highly encourage you to go watch that, link in the description, before you watch the rest of this video. Now, our whole interview lasted about 40 minutes, and I've cut it down to about half of that for this video, but if you'd like to listen to the whole thing, I've actually uploaded it as a bonus episode on the movie podcast that I produced with my friends Isaac and Olivia. It's called Flyover Film Country. We've been doing it for a few years now. We have a lot of fun talking about any and all things movie related, and we have a lot of fun doing so. So head over to our podcast, link in the description as well, to get the full interview that I did with Zac and Walker. But in the meantime, please enjoy this edited version here.
Hey, I'm Walker Walthall, and I directed Squatter.
And I'm Zac Walthall, and I like to introduce myself to people as Walker Walthall's brother. I was the lead writer and the editor. I was in charge of telling somebody else to get you guys snacks.
There you go.
That's why I was team lead.
And that is delegation. Important on set. Okay, so speaking of important on set, how was the idea of Squatter conceived? So we're talking about kind of the writing process, and we know that 48-hour film festival, you basically, like, the best way to do it, I assume, is to spend like that Friday night, just the first night, just writing. You're ready to shoot by Saturday morning, which is what we did. So how was the idea conceived?
Yeah, I can talk about it a little bit because it actually comes from a conversation Zac and I had, I think right before we went to where we draw. So for the 48-hour film festival, you have to go to this meeting. All the teams are there, at least a representative from all the teams, and you draw your genre that you're going to get. You get 2, you get to pick from one. And so Zac and I went and got Mexican food beforehand, and I was telling him about this movie Savannah and I watched. I don't even remember what it's called, but it was about frogging, which is where people live in other people's houses without the people that owning the house know about it. And so we were just talking about that. And so then when we drew dark comedy, we were driving to the Airbnb and we just started talking and we're about frogging, and we're like, this would be a perfect opportunity, like, for a dark comedy. We could definitely do something with this.
We did not cheat. We just had a conversation about it.
Right.
Well, I don't
write anything.
Yeah, I don't think that's cheating at all. Because I mean, like, the whole point of drawing the genre, like, at that kickoff, is so that you can't really write anything before. And you can ideate all you want. I mean, you can be like, yeah, if we get dark comedy, because like the idea of somebody living in someone else's house without them knowing is like, you can do that. You can do so many genres with that. So like, you can take one concept and apply it to all different kinds of things, right?
Yeah. It was just crazy how we had that conversation and then immediately went to 48-hour film project, and they were like, let's do this, honestly.
So what was the writing process like with a small writing team, knowing that the script needed to be ready by the following morning? So like, how many hours did you spend on that? And then you have to remind me how many writers we had credited on this as well.
So I believe we had 4 writers. It was myself, Stacy, Victory, and Fallon. So we had a really small writer's room on this. We didn't have to have a big script. I believe the time requirement is 4 minutes or something. And so we're shooting for a 4.5, 5-page script. So going into that, and then knowing that we already had a location booked and we already had 3 actors lined up, it made it really easy. We knew, okay, whatever we do, we have to have 1 location and 3 actors. So we all took turns pitching, and then we all kind of talked through our ideas. When we chose one, we literally just got straight to work. Like, we wrote an outline for the script, and then we kind of fleshed it out and got to the mark that we were trying to hit. We knew that a lot of it would be action, so it is actually a shorter script. I was terrified because I was like, I think we did get to 4 pages, but it was like 4 pages like triple spaced and stuff. I was trying to like gaslight myself into believing it would be long enough.
Yeah.
I think it came together pretty easily. Walker was there as well.
I tried to, be there in the beginning of the writing process and then kind of pass it off for the more specific stuff. But yeah, we had a lot of ideas. I remember one of the ideas thrown out there was a mother and daughter go to a therapist together to rekindle their relationship and decide the best way to do that is to murder the therapist together.
I remember that one.
That one was fun. There were a lot of fun ideas, but I think we ending up on Squatter was the right decision, and we, made the most use of the space that we had.
Yeah. Which, speaking of that, I think there are two like really smart things that came from the script, and Zach already kind of touched on them, but the fact that we shot in only one location, which we saw other short films in this festival that and they're all, I'm not like saying anything bad about them, but like you could tell that like it was hard for them to like do company moves from like one location to the next.
Yeah.
Because you really only have one day to shoot. And so the fact that you were like, hey, we got this one Airbnb, we're filming everything in this. And so that we like, it just makes it so much easier. And then of course, like you said, like there's not a ton of dialogue. It is much more action based.
Yeah.
And so I think those are like really smart things to do when you only have a weekend to make something like this, right?
Yeah, that was a thing that, Zach had done it in the past. This was my first year doing it. But one thing we wanted is, for it to be a fun process for everyone. And staying up till 3 a.m. and having a call time at 8 a.m. and having to do 3 company moves that day is not fun. It is not a recipe for fun.
So we had exactly one day to shoot this whole thing. So Walker as the director and then Zach as the editor, what was y'all's like each top priority when it came to like the actual like being on set and shooting?
Yeah, for me, so my experience with directing and just being on set, I've learned very quickly that if a bad vibe starts to permeate, things go bad quickly. Things sour. Takes, you have to do more takes. Like everything just gets worse. Everything starts to go bad. Everyone's having a terrible time. So for me, it was like, obviously I'm focused on the short film and the vision, but I'm also focused 100% on keeping morale high, because when you're doing something where, like you said, we shot from like 8 to 6, we're trying to shoot a short film in one day. So we're moving quick, we don't have a lot of time between setups and everything. Everyone's doing their job as fast as possible. I think keeping morale high was something I was really focused on. And I think we did a good job of doing that overall. And I think that you can help by doing that by like one of the things is I wanted to have a great crafty for everyone. I was asking everyone beforehand, like, what drinks do you want? What snacks do you want? Because there's nothing worse than being hungry and going and finding that there's nothing that you like there. And so I think you can pre-plan so that can happen. But then when you're on set too, you have to, make decisions to keep the morale up, because that's so important.
Dude, so much of morale has to do with food.
Yeah.
In life in general, across the board.
My responsibility on set, I had done a lot the night before, and if there's nothing to edit, an editor doesn't really have a whole lot to do. So I kind of functioned more as a PA on set. I don't know if you remember me. I was running Walter plain liquid death waters like all day. Like I think I watched this man crush like 12 big can liquid deaths. We had so many bathroom breaks. Like I think like half the day honestly was just bathroom breaks for Walter.
Something about when I'm shooting, man, like it doesn't matter what I'm shooting. If I have a camera in my hand, my throat gets so dry. I get so dehydrated. You were already assembling footage and doing like loose edits on after we would finish certain scenes. Like you would take my SD cards and run them back to the room that you were editing in and then like swapping them out and all that.
I was kind of back and forth working as like a PA and then like a DIT, just pulling cards, putting footage on. I was like, every time I would pull cards, I would organize all the footage into folders. And so by the time we were getting to the end of the day and we were really trying to just like push through to get done, people weren't really asking for a lot of stuff. And so I just had like I was probably like 90% of the way to the rough cut by the time we wrapped on set. Yeah, that really helped because the next day was just refining. So Sunday, I literally slept in our actual film. I think I uploaded it around like 4:30 p.m.
We were ahead because it was due by 7 p.m. And I remember we were ahead by at least a couple of hours.
Like we came in way before the deadline.
What was each of y'all's like biggest challenges to your responsibilities on set? So like Walker as director and then Zach as editor / PA or whatever.
Yeah, I think for me it's, whenever you don't have a lot of dialogue in a film, that sounds like being a director would be really easy because, you know, you're not.
No, it's so much harder though.
Right. Yeah. But like, honestly, one of the hardest parts of directing is blocking. And that is what the majority of our film is. And so we spent, you know, a lot of time figuring out like the correct blocking and figuring out, you know, the pace at which people have to move to make some of our shots work. You know, we have the one shot, which was the first shot we did all day. We decided to get the most frustrating one out of the way first. I think that was a good decision. But it's like, you know, we're having to tell people walk a little faster. No, you have to walk just a teeny bit slower. Like just trying to find that perfect ground to make the blocking work, because it is the film. It's the short film, is the blocking made up everything. And so for me, that definitely was the biggest challenge, getting everything blocked out right. And I think it ended up working well. It was fun. It was a lot of fun to do that. I've never done a film like that before. So
I think morale, stamina was it for me. Just the biggest challenge of like pushing through all 48 hours.
What was each of y'all's favorite scenes to shoot?
the scene where Jacob is on the toilet was just so funny.
Dude.
We were all laughing, and
I remember as soon as we saw that hallway,
Yeah.
we were like, we got to get a shot of, we got to figure out how to get him sitting on a toilet.
Right.
That
Like
bathroom
at
was
some point.
little too. Like I feel
that's what was so funny
it was
about it.
like,
And Zach, I think you're the one like, dude, Walter, you got to come see this tiny little bathroom.
that sounds like me. That sounds like
You're like, you can't even sit on the toilet and have like your phone out in front of you because it bumps up against the sink. Yeah. And so I was like, dude, like this is a dark comedy. Like we've got to figure out a way to like have some kind of visual gag with this. I think we did it really well.
one thing about our main actor Jacob, he is so good at just the little like improv things he did, like walking out with the magazine and fanning. It's just that is such a little detail that is so funny. And yeah, that scene was definitely the funniest to shoot, the most fun.
I think my favorite was the ending. I mean, it was really fun getting to make a bunch of like fake drug props and like just seeing both of them in the bathrobes and the towels and they're like bumping music or whatever. It was just, I thought it was a fun scene. I thought that was a good reveal and it was really fun. Like I'm the one who twisted up all the little baggies and stuff, and I like tore out all the little stuff and I'm like, okay, so you put it in like this and you do this.
You're the prop master too.
That's my baby. That was my baby. Yeah, I actually helped make the bricks too.
Yeah,
Fallon and I wrapped big duct tape on the bricks to make them look like, I don't want to say it, I don't want you to get demonetized or anything.
Yeah, because I'm rolling in big bucks on this.
I don't want to mess with your YouTube money, bro.
Yeah. No, you're good. There wasn't like any scene I didn't enjoy shooting, but mine would probably have to be anything where there was like, or I introduce a little more complicated movement into it. So like that overhead shot when she first opens up the suitcase and you see the drugs in there. I was like, I think I was standing on a chair and I had like, somebody was holding my legs just to make sure I didn't like fall. And I was holding the gimbal up like all the way above my head and then like having to move it really slowly and like just hope that it was in focus and that like, whatever. But I think
so that's Zach's fault. That's Zach's problem. He doesn't. Have to.
He'll figure it out. Yeah. But no, I think the reason I like shooting it so much because like when I saw how it came out, I was like, yeah, like that. I'm really proud of how that came out. And then again, when the doorbell rings and Becky turns around and she walks out of the room, and the whole time that scene's going, the camera's slowly moving downward. Yeah. And the scene ends with like Jacob under the bed. I thought that was like. I was proud of myself with that. I was like, come on, man. I wanted there to be some dynamic movement just because I think like in something like a 48-hour film festival, I was trying to make ours like stand out a little bit more. Let's get some really cool intentional dynamic movement in this, but then also lock it off when it needs to be locked off. And so some of my other favorite shots were like all the establishing stuff at the beginning, when he's getting the mail, he's taking the picture frame off of the mantle, which was hilarious. Like I love all those shots as well. So
can we talk about the picture frame real quick? I know it's not on the list, but like
So
no, go ahead. So our main actress Becky, we told her like, hey, we're thinking this character might be kind of vain or like self-centered. So why don't you like, do you have any photos of yourself that we could like put in the house? And then also it's like a subtle nod to like, when Jacob's walking around the house, it's like, why is all these pictures of this woman in here?
Before we see that, like that, it's her house.
Yeah. So there was a huge picture that she brought that it was a drawing. I can't remember if her mom did it or if her mom commissioned someone.
I think she got it commissioned. I remember that.
Yeah.
She was 18 and her mom paid for somebody to draw her, and she said it makes her personally feel so vain to like have it. She's like, said like, that she was ashamed of it. It was the perfect prop. I don't think
it was amazing. And Cody, our our gaffer had already left, and so I was pulling double duty gaffing and DPing, and so which means I wasn't doing a whole lot of gaffing. So I was like, we were running out of time. It was getting later in the day, and so I remember we were setting up that shot, and it was like, yes, it was like one of the last things we were doing, and I was like, we just got to use available light on this, man. So like, we did not light that shot at all. Like that was just window / those little lamps that were in there.
Yeah.
It looked great, but I was like, with more time, we probably would have.
I was like, we'll let the colorist figure it out.
Yeah, and who was the colorist?
Well, you had been saying let the editor figure it out all day. So I was like, this time we'll let the color guy figure it out, honestly.
What was it like being the director for the first time for a project like this? And then like, what did you learn from this one that you would want to apply to it if you were to do it again?
One thing that I've learned in my short career and that I've put into work on every project is that like I try to do a lot of the work in pre-production when we have more time, And so this project, that's not really possible. You have 48 hours, you don't have the time. So that was definitely something that was challenging for me, is not having that pre-production. But I think it helped me learn a little bit that you still need to leave some room sometimes for stuff like that to, inspiration strikes, you want to get some different shots, or even like working with actors, like I was talking about with Jacob, he's so good at improv. There were times where it was like, we just need to let him go for a minute. We just need to put the camera on him for a couple extra seconds to let him do something that's really funny. There's a lot of moments in the short that like he just came up with.
Yeah.
We were just like when we got to the kitchen scene, I was kind of just like, I need you to do this and I need you to do this, and you can do whatever else you want in between. And it was like the best directing choice I've ever made, because he was so funny.
Yeah.
And so, I think that's probably the big thing, is just like, knowing when to let your actors, make the choices, knowing when to let them do their thing, and trusting them.
This year I learned from editing that like having a DIT is a digital imaging technician, somebody to pull footage and organize things and even get a rough cut while you're on set is like crazy impactful, because when I woke up the next day and like was able to just chill and then kind of refine what we had already like finalized the night before, I had a way better experience. So a DIT, a junior editor, somebody on set that is like already getting at least everything organized is crazy. It's awesome.
Yeah. Most of my filmmaking experience is in the commercial space. A lot of it is I'm being a one-man band where I'm doing everything. And so like coming into this, like I guess I didn't really know what to expect. I was like, it'll just be fun, And like y'all kept that energy up the whole time. Like because there are a couple of times where we were like, okay, we got to move on, we're running out of time, whatever. But like it was very fun. And it wasn't until like maybe talking to y'all about it afterward and like hearing from other teams like, oh my gosh, there is usually so much stress with this. And so I think y'all did just a really good job of like not letting that happen, because y'all said, well, Zach, you learned from previous years, and then Walker, you've learned from just your previous experience of just like directing things in general. But just like a lot of those measures you can put in place to like remove stress before it ever even happens.
Yeah. None of us are making money off this. None of us
we're losing money on
right,
this.
Exactly. Like we're actively losing money. No one is, this isn't some big Hollywood thing where we're making a bunch of money. And so to me, it's like, if people are willing to help me make a movie, they should have a good time while they're doing it.
And the worst case scenario is you don't have fun and then it sucks too. Like you watch a short film and you're like, no, I can't tell anybody I made this.
Yeah, you're like, why did I do this? Like this is not a good time.
It's a lose-lose.
Yeah. It almost sucks like for me, because like I had such a good experience like my first time doing something like this, that I'm nervous about like going into the next one. Like my expectations are like really high, which again, testament to like the work that y'all put into it. What was each of y'all's favorite parts of this whole filmmaking process like this for this time around?
I loved leading the writer's room. I usually work as a video editor. It is a very lonely life. Shout out to the editors. I'm here for you. So being in a room with people and getting to like collaborate real time and like just like, this would be funny. Oh, this would be funny. Wait, that's funnier if you take this and do that. And so like, I don't know, just being able to like share ideas with people and bounce ideas off of people in real time and kind of like work on something at the same time. It was a lot of fun for me. I think that was my favorite part, honestly.
Yeah, for me, and I think this is the coolest part about the 48-hour film festival, is not only do you make a film in 48 hours, but they screen it in a theater in front of a crowd of people, which is always, the most exciting and nerve-wracking part of making a film. And so watching our film show and hearing people laugh when they're supposed to was like the best feeling, you know?
Yeah. Anytime that you are a part of something like this where it gets shown to a wider audience and you get to be in that audience as well and see like, because I mean, like, we were part of the whole thing from beginning to end. Zach, like, you watch that footage over and over and over again, and so like there's no surprises for you at all, but then you get to like, watch it with people who have no idea what's coming next, and like that's just a really cool feeling. And of course, like maybe an even better feeling is getting a few awards for it. So which we won, correct me if I'm wrong, I'll put mine in the cut.
Can this be the thumbnail?
Yeah. We made a short film and we won. Mr. Beast's face is in it too. So we won best editing, or Zach won best editing. Becky, one of our actors, won best female actress, and then we won best cinematography, which is all really cool. So I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but like, you know, we should be proud of what we make. I think it was really good.
Yeah, and we're going up against teams, you know, that have been doing this for years too. Yeah. So I think like our first year putting a team together, and like our team had so much fun. A big thing for me was that immediately our team is like, are we doing this again next year?
Yeah.
You know, and so that was a big win too, I think, is that our team had a good enough time that I think pretty much everybody's willing to do it again this coming up year. So
say we do we have the same script, you know, all the same crew, location and everything, but there's no more time limit. What would be like one thing that each of you would change or try to do better if we didn't have like, if we had like as many days as we wanted to film this whole thing?
I think just make it longer. I mean, I think the payoff of it not being his house would be so much funnier if we had more time to establish like him living here or something. So, you know, maybe a couple extra scenes of him in the morning or something like that, because it had to be done so short in such a short amount of time. It's just like immediate conflict, but I think a longer payoff might have been a little bit funnier.
Yeah, I agree. Cause like the thing about short films is like, you can't set up too long. Like you've got to get to the good stuff or you're going to lose people's attention. So I think we did it right, but I do agree, like more time. Yeah. My gosh. Yeah. What about a lot more setup, like a lot more mystery built into it, so the payoff would be bigger.
The whole reason we named the film Squatter is because we were like, we need people to understand what is happening immediately.
Yeah.
We do not want to put any questions in people's minds. We really want them to know what's going on quickly. And by naming it Squatter, that's what you do. You know, everyone knows what a squatter is. And so I think if allowing it to be a little bit more mysterious, if we had more time, would have been great. And, you know, we probably would have named it something else in that scenario. And I think too, though, just, you know, letting scenes play out a little bit more, maybe breathe a little bit more. We were moving fast. And so you can feel that in the film. I mean, the film moves very fast, we're moving quick. And so I would love to see some of the stuff have a little bit more time to breathe and let the scenes develop a little bit more. But that is what it, you know, like I said, we shot it one day. So
it's over. Squatter 2? Who knows? The squatting.
You know, that would be a great like bit if someone just kept doing the 48-hour film festival every year, and they just like, no matter what genre they got, they just made like,
they do the same thing, like, but it's a sequel. It's a sequel. Yeah. Dude, honestly, like I'm not against that idea. I think that'd be great. So Highway 7, what is next for Highway 7? I know y'all been doing some YouTube content as well, which is great. So what do you have coming up on that end, on the YouTube end, and then what do you have coming up on the filmmaking end?
Highway 7, yeah. So we have our YouTube channel. That's what we're focusing a lot on. Zach and I are posting. He's posting a video a month. I'm posting a video a month. That's what we've committed to. And if we post more, then we do. But that's the thing we're focusing on. We have a couple short films that are in development right now. That's really exciting. We're waiting to hear back about a grant for a horror short that I wrote and want to direct. And I think everyone here is on board to participate in once we hear back about that.
I'm on board to DP that as soon as it starts happening.
Yeah. And then I talked about it in my YouTube video last week, so I can mention it, that I had a guy that I worked with in the past approach me with the script his friend wrote that he wanted me to direct, and we're moving forward with that too. So that's exciting. And so we've got a couple different projects in the pipeline that we're working on, and just in the early stages, but getting everything planned out.
Yeah. Cool. Zach, anything to add to that?
I'm actually working on a YouTube video that should probably be put out around the same time that this one is, right? Talking about the 48-hour film project. So check out my 48-hour film project video.
For us, I like that. Wow. Start that sentence again.
Wait, here's the ending. Like and subscribe.
Yeah, there you go.
Now.
Give them the old classic YouTube 1-2 hit. Yeah, nice. But no, seriously, anything else you'll wanna put on the end of this?
I'm good.
Nope.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Bye.